Let's take the time now to study whether or not two linear equations might be parallel to one another. And if they are, they would have the same slope. Let's look at these two equations. They both have a slope of 1/2, but this one has a y-intercept of 0, 3, and this one has a y-intercept of 0, -2. So let's graph fairly quickly both of these lines on the same rectangular coordinate system. So this one right here, when the y-intercept is x is 0 and y is 3, and the slope is 1/2, from here I would go up 1 and over 2. I'm going to do it a few times. Up 1 over 2, up 1 over 2. I want to do a fairly good job at drawing a straight line where y equals 1/2 x plus 3. Let's graph the second equation where the y-intercept is a -2, but the slope is still 1/2. So if I go up 1 and over 2, 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 and I draw a straight line through that, I can see that the graph of y equals 1/2 x plus 3 and y equals 1/2 x minus 2 have the same slope, or they are parallel to one another. They just have different intercepts. So all I need to do if I ever want to know if two lines are parallel is find out what their slopes are, and then I can decide if they are parallel or not. So let's look at a couple of equations, and let's not bother graphing them this time. So let's say we have 3x minus 4 equals y. So that's in slope-intercept form. Y is all by itself. The slope for this one is 3. That's all we care about in this problem. And then let's take the second equation, is minus 3x equals 8. And I'd like to get this one in slope-intercept form. So in order to do that, I'm going to add 3x to both sides of the equal sign. Both sides of the equal sign. And I have y all by itself here because those cancel out. And y is equal to 3x plus 8. The slope of this line is also equal to 3. So we can say, yes, the graph of these two equations are parallel to one another. This one just happens to have a y-intercept of a -4, and this one happens to have a y-intercept of a positive 8. So if I want to know if they're parallel, get them in slope-intercept form and see if their slopes are the same. Let's try another pair of equations. So say I give you y equals a -4x plus 2. That's one of the equations, and it's very obvious that the slope of this line is a -4. Let's give you another equation. A -5 equals a -2y plus 8x. So I have to get the y term alone. So I'm going to subtract 8x from both sides of this equation. So I have a -8x minus 5 on the right equals a -2y. Now I have to finish by getting y alone, so I'll divide both sides of the equation by a -2 exactly. Please divide both of these terms by a -2 so you can clearly see the slope of 4 here. Negative divided by a negative is a positive 4x. And this negative divided by the negative is a positive 5/2, so its y-intercept would be 0, 5/2. All I care about, though, in these two problems is what their slopes are. I'm going to grab my red pen. So the slope of this one is a -4, and the slope of the second equation is a positive 4. So these two equations are not parallel, because the coefficient in front of the x term, the slope, is not exactly the same. It has to be exactly the same for the lines to be parallel.